This is about content for Call of Duty. I haven't watched it yet, but from what I get from the title, he's talking about how Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, your content, what you've leveled up, everything you've unlocked, bundles, things like that, all carried forward to Modern Warfare 3. And I believe this video is talking about what happens with Black Ops 6. And I have an opinion on this, but I'm curious to hear what he has to say about it. So
one thing that was pretty polarizing for the context of the debate with Modern Warfare 3 was the prospect of carry forward, where for the first time in COD history, your content from the last game would follow you into the next that you had bought. Warzone introduced this, but
as a whole, yeah, Warzone did introduce it. That's a good point, is that we saw that with Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard, and everything like that, everything being in that game. And then when it carried forward in multiplayer, it seemed to me that no one really enjoyed
as a
it.
paid feature, we had never seen this from game to game. On one hand, players loved this because they got to use all their camos day one, all their weapons they unlocked weren't lost, though you did have more.
I'm curious what he says about the other side of it.
And more reasons, but others absolutely hated it because it really just reinforced that idea that Modern Warfare 3 was just a $70 DLC to Modern Warfare 2.
I also think it's been ironed into our heads so hard that every Call of Duty is a new game, that people want kind of that fresh start. So when we don't get that fresh start and things aren't really going that way, I see how people would get mad at that. All right, back to the video.
I'm not here to argue one way or the other, but it was a new system in place for the COD franchise that objectively made the amount of content on day one a bit larger in quantity. So will Black Ops 6 or whatever...
One thing that happened when Modern Warfare 3 came out is that they were like, hey, we're going to have some Modern Warfare 2 maps carry forward. And people are like, whoa, no, we want new maps. And then they put them in their own playlist. And I'm assuming no one really played them because we don't see much of it.
2024 ends up being titled Bring This Back. Today I want to have a discussion on how this may go and what we'll likely have clarified in just a few short weeks.
Yeah, we'll probably find that out
drop your thoughts.
on
Would
June
you
9th.
like to see another carry forward title in Black Ops 6, or would you prefer a fresh start, and why? If you enjoyed the video, you find an add-on.
Personally, I would like a fresh start. I think the carry forward is bad for the game. I think it was bad for Warzone as well.
Well, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more Black Ops 6 and COD 2024 coverage ahead of the reveals upcoming. We're about to get really busy here and inundated with information over the coming weeks.
Good word, Jordan.
I'd love to have
Inundated.
the community and keep you in the
Great
loop with
word.
all of it. But for now, let's jump into it. So semi-recently, it was reported that we might see some carry-forward content in Black Ops 6 going forward that carries over from what we've seen so far.
I didn't actually hear this.
From Semtex leaks, it was mentioned when Season 2 was released, they added John Doe's select and idle animations to the COD 2024 or Black Ops, at the time, rumored Gulf War lobby idle list. So either John Doe is using COD 2024 animations, or the Modern Warfare 3 content will carry into COD 2024. Now, that's not...
I really do think... they could do something along the lines of bundles carrying over, but not weapons. But then at the same time, blueprints, what happens with those? So yeah, that won't
Not
work.
to say this is confirmation, but it prompted the idea of, okay, will COD 2024 have carry forward with Modern Warfare 3 stuff as Modern Warfare 3 did to start its year? To me, I see this having three possible outcomes. Number one, everything carries over. Number two, some things carry over. And number three, you probably could guess it, nothing carries over.
Whoa,
but
mind
each of these
blowing
has
there.
potential that could lend some cadence to the argument for each of those. So let's just say that
I don't think anything will carry forward.
everything does carry over. Why would that be something that could happen? Well, Modern Warfare 3 could have been a trial run. Perhaps this was the start of the...
And if it was a trial run, I think it got enough backlash and less sales to the point where they won't do that. Interesting point there. They should carry forward all mastery camos and mastery charms. But what if those guns aren't in the game? Do you just take those camos that you've unlocked and put them on the new guns?
air quote new era, or rather the continuation of...
The other thing to look at too is with them bringing back a bunch of the games on Game Pass, If you have the mastery camos in those, should those come to the future games as well? That would be neat.
That 2.0 era that was advertised with the start of Modern Warfare 2. Everything is on the same engine, which means, in theory, everything is more streamlined, easier to implement, and wouldn't cause so many game-breaking things or bloat the game on a foundational level that would become problematic as it did with Warzone 1 and the integrations that we saw as the initial test runs. That was the problem with Warzone 1 when we first saw this happen, because the game was different engines across different games.
True.
Cold War was an entirely different engine, and Vanguard was built on a modified Modern Warfare 2019 engine, so the development was kind of all over the place. But the biggest thing was that, initially speaking,
That was actually my biggest complaint with Cold War, is that it didn't feel as smooth as Modern Warfare, but I think the gameplay was kind of better, but not because of the engine. I think if Cold War had the Modern Warfare engine, it would have been a really, really good Call of Duty game.
Warzone was never meant to leave Modern Warfare 2019. Instead, it was initially planned to be like a Blackout, a Modern Warfare 2019 exclusive battle royale, and it was not until close to launch of Warzone that Activision said, nah, we're going to use this as a through line for every COD to come. And then they had to add everything on top of that. And that's why we had so many things that broke the game on so many different occasions. There was zero infrastructure built for multi-game support.
And the game was huge because of all the weapons.
And that's what made it all so tough and tricky at points. But with the 2.0 era being built together with Warzone's experience in mind, that streamlines everything in theory. And listen, this isn't me in the perspective of thinking that this is going to happen, but that'd be like the argument for why it could happen. People's feedback also and data could indicate that maybe it added value to the game. Maybe, just maybe, the data that justifies some of the things like matchmaking and other things that just make no sense to you and I, maybe it justifies the inclusion of Carry Forward once again. Maybe it was found to be a very favorable addition to the Modern Warfare 3 experience. But anyways, again, that's a theoretical argument for why everything could carry over.
It could. I'm assuming what he goes into next is, he's
Number
going into
two,
some
though,
stuff.
Some things may carry over. This, again, everything's on the
This
same
might
engine.
be the
It's
most
definitely
possible.
but then you get to the question of, okay,
What would?
it's going to be too much bloat. We
Or
would,
that.
at that point, be in the Vanguard Warzone era by comparison, pushing 200 total weapons, camos over
Ridiculousness.
1,000, probably like 1,300, 1,400 at that point, all operators and so on. So how much of that do you actually take over? You limit the larger stuff if you want to save file size, that's for sure. Maps obviously wouldn't transfer. We only saw limited amounts of Modern Warfare 3 carry forward maps, and even those weren't at launch. Then you'd remove things like Modern Warfare weaponry, perhaps key operators, leaving only a few of the paid operators for like CDL operators, maybe.
So I don't think that you carry forward any of that. And to what you're saying, you want event camos to be carried forward. I don't see them doing that either because there's no money to make there. If they bundles, I think would be the most likely thing, but then what the hell happens with weapons? Right? Like what happens with that? And Purs, I'm glad you enjoy the videos, my dude.
Crossover operators, Black Cell and such, but beyond that, nothing that ties directly to the Modern Warfare universe. Maybe you get rid of all of that kind of stuff and the 1,000 attachments in the gunsmith that we have currently for the weaponry that come along with.
Also, apparently we're going to be getting a new creative class system closer to pick 10, so having all of these things in there I don't think would make any sense, but they might do something with gunsmith and pick 10.
Again, Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. If you keep anything, it'd probably be smaller items likely calling cards.
So the argument to what you're saying there, Rory, is you're saying you earned those camos for the events, should be able to carry them forward. Well, the argument to that is, yeah, you earned them in Modern Warfare 3, so they stay there. And that's what it's been every year before this year.
Emblems, perhaps executions could carry over since those aren't necessarily exclusive to operators, charms, maybe decals and such. But my personal hope is that if anything carries over, camos, but again, not every single camo, not the 1,000 plus. Personally, I think at the very least, you should have the event, ranked, and special camos carry over, that it'd be adding value to those things presently going for them, but also getting rid of the weapon specific ones that are like 900 camos associated with weaponry. That's the stuff that if some things carry over, I could see the logical basis of that. But then the third option, and still equally as possible, nothing carries over. Maybe it's a full reset needed, entirely avoiding that bloat altogether.
One thing that I hear a lot of people say, take Call of Duty out of this, huge game, World of Warcraft. I hear a lot of people, one of the biggest problems is WoW has just added stuff over and over and over again to the point where it's this massive game with so much to do, so much to unlock, and you can do it all. The problem is the barrier to entry of that game is so high because at this point, it's just overwhelming with how much there is to do. It's kind of like what happened with Warzone once Cold War and Vanguard were in there. There was like 200 and something weapons. That barrier to entry, like, what do you start leveling up if you're coming in there in the third year? And I think that's a bad thing for games. I think that fresh start is needed. And is 1 year too often to have a fresh start? Maybe. But if they're doing this thing where next year Gulf War or Black Ops 6 comes out, and then the year after that is another Black Ops game, and they kind of do a 2-year cycle with 2 games that carry forward, I think that's more so what we're going to be looking at moving forward.
And canonically, it wouldn't make sense to have half the items that we have in Modern Warfare 2 and 3 and Black Ops 6 if it's set in the 90s. The very reasoning given for why it happened in the first place was to keep the continuity of universes in place. So while since Modern Warfare 2019, the new timeline has merged with Treyarch to form the Call of Duty universe, as evidenced by Zakhaev in Cold War's campaign and the many various tie-ins since, the air quote Modern Warfare experience was kept moving forward into the next Modern Warfare game with 3. But again, one could probably argue it's because of the DLC debate. And honestly, we have had 19, 20 years of precedent leading up to this where carry forward was only 1 out of those 20 years. So why is it going to be any different here going forward? Again, that's the logic and reasoning for any of those arguments as you want to take it. Personally,
give
what
your
I'd
opinion,
like to
Jordan.
see, while personally, in my own opinion, I'd be cool with a wipe of things and 100% fresh restart with Black Ops 6. And frankly, I'm kind of expecting that. I would also be cool with the limited carry forward as mentioned. For me, my biggest thing is always camos. I think that might be what I loved the most about the launch of Modern Warfare 3 was the ability to use camos that I'd earned previously for a new game. For me, while yes, we've definitely gotten crazy, I think...
So here's a question. Do those camos being in the game take away from the new camos? I don't have an answer to that. It's just an interesting
camos
point.
And weapon cosmetics like that spice up the launch enough that each new game's full reset kind of is dull for the first few months. Like, you have your mastery camos, but beyond that, most of, if not all of the basic camo challenges or blueprints, they kind of suck. And sure, that's kind of the point to the degree. You want to make it in line with the narrative, in line with the sort of gritty atmosphere of each Call of Duty at the launch, but having the ability to use things like Ghoulie or my ranked play camos and other things on Modern Warfare 3 weapons right from the start was honestly awesome. For others, that's not necessarily an area of concern or even something you may not agree with entirely, but for me, that was one of the things that I enjoyed about the launch of Modern Warfare 3. Calling cards, emblems, and all, those all are account specific and have...
I don't care about those. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand why you would.
Already been seen in the same fashion of the COD HQ divided up among games in the menus, so I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of stuff carries over as well. Obviously, just wouldn't be able to sort of earn Modern Warfare Zombies calling cards and emblems in Black Ops 6. You'd have to go back to Modern Warfare 2 and 3, but I mean, that stuff again is already divvied up in the COD HQ, so it makes sense. But again, what I think is likely to happen if there's carry forward, it's a mixture of those smaller items. Calling cards, emblems, decals, maybe executions if camos come at all. The stuff that isn't tethered to weaponry, like event, special, and ranked camos only. But realistically, I don't think that I'm personally getting my hopes up for any of it to happen. The big selling point for carry forward was, again, that universal tether. Modern Warfare to Modern Warfare.
That's kind of what I was saying before, where I think next year we will have carry forward from Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 7, if that's what they're going to do.
While it could pull a Warzone, I'm not really expecting it, and I think that it honestly could cause more problems in terms of balancing and just content upkeep if you have 200 weapons there. I mean, we have a leaked weapons list for Black Ops 6 already tallying 50 plus weapons, so you're already pushing 200 at that point without any DLC. Carry forward to me was primarily a marketing tactic to kind of bolster the content on a Frankenstein game.
I also think it was a test to see how people would like
honestly, a kind of early access game. Build it as you play. The game now is just about to the point where I could say, okay, this is a new game per se, but it's 6 months into the life cycle. At launch, you were getting remasters, some cobbled together zombies and campaign stuff with new weaponry. Carry forward made it seem like that offering was bigger than it actually was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we also can't pretend like it wasn't that to some degree. So I think that we could see carry forward come into play in COD 2025 as of right now. That's rumored to be similar to what Modern Warfare 3 is, a continuation of the Black Ops universe back to back.
This is what I was saying.
but also a game that plays heavily on nostalgia and perhaps remasters. Preliminary rumors and reports indicate that year 2 of content for the next Black Ops game in 2025 has much more time for development than 16 months and would indicate a full campaign that is a sequel to Black Ops 2.
I like that.
Multiplayer remasters in the way of Black Ops 2 maps is that campaign, again, being a sequel to that, and more zombies content. For me, my biggest hope for that aspect of it on a 2-year window of zombies is Zombies Chronicles 2. Not to get sidetracked too much, but we talked about it earlier this year, how I think it'd be a perfect fit and would honestly give me a reason to actually feel like I have value with buying a year 2 game as opposed to like remasters of Black Ops 2
Very possible that
and
they
a
do that.
campaign and a cobbled together zombies mode like we saw with Modern Warfare 3. If I could get the potential of 8 remastered round-based zombies maps and more DLC going forward, that's absolutely worth my money for a third mode as opposed to a DMZ reskin with minimal support after launch. Not even taking shots, just fact. But I think that'd be the next time we see Carry Forward come into play or have a realistic approach to necessarily, I don't want to say needing it, but why it would make more sense as opposed to going from 2 Modern Warfare games to a Black Ops.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we were
Black Ops
saying.
to Black Ops, keep that weaponry, camo, and everything that we saw, similar to Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, but
Also, if they do something similar to Black Ops 2 where the game actually takes place in the future, but there's flashbacks to the past, that's how you can have the crossover and weaponry, and it
keep
actually
that
makes sense.
continuity and back-to-back universal nature alive.
So if like, say Black Ops 7 comes out in 2025, and then half the game takes place in present day or the future, and then half the game takes place in the 90s, like Gulf War or Black Ops 6, then you could have the 2 types of weaponry in there all at once, and the crossover actually makes a lot of sense, kind of like what they did with Black Ops 2.
For a round 2, but keep it even larger in terms of offering. But anyways, that's where I'm at. Carry Forward, of course, introduced a lot of discussions here pre-launch. We're probably going to see either information on this or why it won't be happening in the next coming weeks as
Jordan's
we end up
probably
seeing
right.
Black Ops 6 or whatever COD 2024 ends up being titled as it gets revealed. But for right now, just wanted to have a casual conversation here, start going into the weekend talking about this kind of stuff and just chatting with you guys. So let me know your thoughts down below. Would you like to see COD 2024 have Carry Forward content?
No, I would not, to answer your question, Jordan. I would not like to see Call of Duty have Carry Forward content. And the reason for it is exactly what you said in your video. Straight up bloat. I think it, if anything, takes away from the new game and kind of puts emphasis on the old stuff. I get why they did it with Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, and I get why they're probably going to do it with Call of Duty 2024 and 2025 with the 2 Black Ops games. But as a whole, I think it's mostly a bad thing, and especially if you do it for too long, the game is just too big, like we saw with Warzone. Anyway, chat, what do you think?